have a huge family in Nepal. It begins with thousands and thousands of children whom we rescued from slavery and trafficking in the past several years. So I have a great attachment for them because these boys or girls, now they are grown up and they have their own children. They could not visit India, so I thought that there should be some reason to visit Nepal. Secondly, Dilli Chaudhary is like my elder son, and that was a promise I have given to him that Nepal would be the first country to visit after my Nobel Prize, if there was a Nobel Prize, because there were some talks going on, so we said that I will visit Nepal. So then I have so many friends who were partners, and I was partners in the fight against child labor or for education in this country. I have covered almost entire Nepal in 3 different marches. One for demanding the incorporation of right to education in Nepalese constitution when the constitution was in making. So we organized a zigzag march across Nepal. There was another one for protection of children from trafficking in South Asia, and one was also on child labor and trafficking. So I had long relationship with 4 decades. The most effective is investment in quality education, good quality, inclusive and meaningful education. This education should also enhance the critical thinking, but also include skill training and employability for the future. Because if the Nepalese boys and girls are able to see their bright future here through their education, and that education could be also associated with the skill training and so on, employability, so they need not to look for their future in other countries. They can stay here and they can grow themselves, and they can definitely make Nepal a more prosperous country. Yes, this is a very, very serious issue, and this is not just Nepal, but this online child sexual abuse or online demand for child porn material and online recruitment of children for prostitution, boys and girls both, is a growing phenomenon, unfortunately. So this is the dark side of information technology and social media and the cyber world. This has to be tackled through many means and many efforts. First of all, there is a need of digital literacy. Literacy also means not just know how to use the digital media, but what should be used, what should be consumed and what not should be consumed, and what are the side effects of using that kind of media, because simply these kind of I would say the agents and syndicates who procure young boys and girls for pornographic purposes and prostitution, they are very clever. They prompt with some advertisements and something, and once these youngsters start surfing those webs, then they slowly, gradually lead them to a situation when they're caught into it, and they go deeper and deeper, and then they become habitual to it and they cannot leave it, and then they are trapped into this kind of situation. So this kind of education and literacy is needed in schools and also in the homes, that the children could be protected from that. And secondly, the legal efforts have to be made. The cyber crime agencies like police and other agencies, intelligence agencies, have to keep eye on these kind of websites and dark media sites, so on. But that cannot be tackled only, unfortunately, by one country or one government or one police. It is a trans-border syndicate problem. This is a trans-border crime. So Interpol and the United Nations agencies have to be involved in making sure that there should not be any uploading and use of data and cyberspace in promoting these crimes. Well, there are several treaties and understanding. So definitely the relationship between India and Nepal, particularly the people-to-people relationship or societal relationship, cultural relationship is so deep-rooted. That is the most powerful weapon, I would say, to fight any crime. Secondly, the civil society organizations, many of them are already communicating and connected with each other and sharing knowledge and experience. But in case of child trafficking and use of children for illicit work, it is important that there should be more rapid and effective communication and dialogue between governments as well as between the civil society organizations. So that is very much possible. Once the children who are, say, freed from child labor and slavery in India, or trafficking in India, if they stay in India, perhaps they could be entitled for the rehabilitation. But once they come to Nepal, then they should also be guaranteed socio-economic and educational rehabilitation benefits once they are freed from India. But social integration is equally important. If the girls are freed from, say, sexual abuses or prostitution, then they should not be, intimidated or dehumanized. They should be treated with love and respect. Well, it's a complicated issue. Even India does not have enough mental health professionals or the infrastructure to support such children or such men and women even. So the mental health issues are very serious. These children are traumatized. These children lose hope in themselves, in society, and in their own future. So it requires a lot of efforts. So I think the para mental health workers could be useful, and such kind of short term training could be imparted to the young students in universities and so on. So some of the students in universities would love to get this short term training for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, and they could be given additional diploma. They might be studying in some other subject, but additionally in their free time or during the holidays, they can learn something as volunteers and they can do some mental health volunteering work, and their work should be recognized or possibly compensated monetarily. Well, there are many organizations who have been fighting, and I know and worked with them for decades, so they know very well how to fight it out. But there are several factors. One is definitely investment on education, making sure and it is guaranteed that every child receive good quality public education. This is one. Secondly, there are good laws in Nepal, and I am proud, privileged to work with a number of governments in the past. Actually, the first law which was discussed against bonded labor system, it was discussed in my office, and that time my friend Padmaratna Tuladharji was the labor minister of Nepal. So he has come with the deputy minister and the director of labor and so many other officers and we had full day discussion, and the second day half day discussion based on my experience and India's experience in fighting bonded labor and child labor. So the first law, when it was introduced, was also somehow connected with my humble support or some advice. And second time when the law was coming and some provisions are being brought in the constitution, I was also involved directly or indirectly with a number of politicians and experts here in Nepal. Well, transparency in utilization of resources, any resource, is important at every level. So it's not the question of blaming anyone, but if we have good accountability mechanism and a culture of transparency, that would be very useful. And secondly, the mindset across the globe, actually, I'm not talking about just Nepal, Nepal is one of them. Among the civil society organizations, NGOs, as well as the government agencies, government officials, has to be changed. Now the mindset is that they are doing some welfare, they are doing some mercy, they are doing some obligation for the beneficiaries, so-called beneficiaries. They are the children, they are the marginalized people, they are the women, they are indigenous people, etc., etc. But this is not true. The truth is that these people are entitled to get that support, financial, technical, educational, all kind of support, rehabilitational support. So if you are providing that support, you are not doing something, a mercy to them. You are doing your duty, your job. So your duty has to be to feel dignity and respect for those who are being benefited under those schemes. They could be government schemes, they could be the international schemes, and they could be the local schemes of civil society NGOs. I will keep on working with the organizations, and now I have a new ally, and that is Kantipur, the entire Kantipur media. So I will keep on pushing my work, my agenda, my association, and my struggle. As I always say that Nepal is my home, my second home. So Nepalese children are my children, as Indian and Pakistani children are my children, or African or Latin American children are my children. So I believe in the oneness of humanity and the oneness of children. And until and unless we feel that these children are our children, we cannot bring about peace in the world, we cannot bring about sustainability, and we cannot even protect humanity and democracy. Protection of democracy, saving the democracy requires a very fundamental thing, and that is connectedness with each other. So that this is me and they are others, that sense have to be evaporated, that has to be demolished, that has to be eradicated. That sense is creating divide in the world. And I always say that we have globalized markets and economies and data, communication, everything. This is the time to globalize compassion. And compassion is the feeling for the problems and sufferings of others as our own problem, and solve them with a sense of urgency as we try to solve our problem. And then we will get rid of a sense of ego, that this is big brother, this is a small brother, this country is big brother, this country is a small brother, or a small sister, or child, or something like that. We are all equal human beings. We are all equal people. So children have never created borders and walls. It is we, the wise people, the powerful people, because of our own greediness, because of our on arrogance in the history, course of history. We have fought wars, we are still fighting wars, and we have created borders and boundaries. Enough is enough, dear friends, enough is enough. This is the time to break all those walls which divide humanity in any form and use those bricks in building bridges. When we do not feel connectedness with each other, connection between human beings is the key. And if the connection widen, if the connections deepen, then you cannot solve any problems, including democracy. And as I said a few minutes ago, that democracy is not a political system or system of governance. It is beyond that, because it is an embodiment of certain values which hold society together, which ensures fairness in the society. That is democracy. And that's why we have gone further and explained it as the definition, that is the governance or rule of the people, by the people, for the people. That means the people should be connected, who are active representatives of people. They should feel connected, because what they are doing because of them. And if they do anything for them, it does not mean that they are doing any mercy for them. They are doing because of the citizens, because of the voters. So that relationship has to be there. So that deeper connectedness about the problems of each other is compassion. Compassion is not something which is taught in the religions and cultures and faith and so on. No, I simply say that deeper or the deepest connectedness that make you feel others' problem as your own and solve them as you solve your problem. So that is altogether, that is quite a kind of, I would say, a evolved definition which I am trying to bring of compassion. I was thinking of some other better word, but there is no better word in English and Hindi, and I do not want to create a new word for problem solving, selfless problem solving. So I am using the word compassion, which is closer to what I am trying to say.